All right, moving on. U.S. President Donald Trump has launched his new Board of Peace, as we all know. He unveiled the board's charter during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Now, this board was originally formed to oversee the rebuilding of Gaza after the Israel-Hamas ceasefire. But now, Trump wants it to spread out to do other things as well.
It's going to be a great plan, and that's where the Board of Peace really started. And I think we can spread out to other things as we succeed with Gaza. We're going to be very successful in Gaza. It's going to be a great thing to watch. And we can do other things. We can do numerous other things. Once this board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do. And we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations. You know, I've always said the United Nations has got tremendous potential, has not used it.
Donald Trump says that he wants his Board of Peace to work in conjunction with the United Nations, but he's accused the UN of not living up to its potential. And earlier this week, Trump even said that his board might replace the UN. However, the Board of Peace seems to be facing pushback from a major international power, and that is China. Donald Trump has invited Chinese President Xi Jinping to be part of the Board of Peace, and so far, Chinese officials have refused to say whether Xi will accept. But on Friday, a Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson put up this post on social media platform X. She announced that Xi Jinping had spoken with Brazilian President Lula da Silva over phone and that China had asked Brazil to jointly uphold the central position of the United Nations. Now, this announcement, remember, comes just 2 days after another Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson had said this.
We've answered relevant questions yesterday on Board of Peace. On the UN, China always practices true multilateralism. No matter how the international landscape may evolve, China will stay firmly committed to safeguarding the international system with the UN at its core.
So twice in a span of 3 days, China has insisted on the UN maintaining its central role in the international system. And now it looks as though China is getting its allies on board as well to help defend the current existing system. A new world order seems improbable without Beijing's participation, and it will be possible if other nations such as India, Russia, Brazil also refuse to participate. During his conversation with President Lula, Xi had asked the entire global South to come together and protect the United Nations. Without the participation by the global South, Trump's Board of Peace is unlikely to have enough members to be considered a truly global body. Will Brazil and the rest of the global South follow China's lead, or will Trump's Board of Peace attract enough members to actually overshadow the United Nations? That's a wait-and-watch game.
We've taken out almost.
All right, let me welcome on the broadcast Mr. Greg Swenson, who is an international affairs expert and a China analyst. He's joining us live from London. Greg, good evening. Welcome to WION. What do you make of the Chinese response, Greg? Because, of course, there have been concerns as to what the Board of Peace stands for, what it will do, while Donald Trump has assured that it's going to work in conjunction with the United Nations. Clearly, there are doubts about that as well.
Yeah, I think I'm not surprised that those comments came from the Chinese Communications Ministry, and you know it's typical of Xi to try to rally other countries in the global South around him. I don't think this will work. I think there's real positive changes happening in the global South, notably in South America, with led by Javier Milei in Argentina. And I think you'll see more of those countries circle around and support the U.S. So I think we'll have a lot more allies in the global South, with exceptions, notably, for example, South Africa. But if you notice, the countries that are leaning into China are the countries that are the most left-leaning, but also somewhat adversarial to the U.S. and to the West. So it doesn't surprise me. I don't think this will work. I think, the changes in Venezuela have put a real dent into the effort of China and other countries to lead, create an alternative to the U.S. currency being the world's reserve currency. I don't think that will work. The more and more oil that is not necessarily owned by the U.S. or produced by the U.S., but at least managed by the U.S.
But Greg,
and traded in
even if we
dollars.
don't go into the currency part and the de-dollarization concerns that Donald Trump has repeatedly talked about, the board of peace doesn't have a lot of important countries that need to be part of a global body. For that body to be called global, closest American allies such as France and UK are not part of it. Spain has opted out today. There are other countries like China, India and Russia have so far, they have not said anything. So, I mean, where does the board of peace stand then?
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, ultimately, if we can't call it a global, quote unquote, global board, that's fine. I mean, the mission there is peace in Gaza. And so I think regardless of whether there's participation from our adversaries or our allies, it doesn't really matter. We'll have plenty of people on board. But I think, so the fact that France and the UK declined Spain, that's just performative given the somewhat uncomfortable situation in Davos this week and the criticisms coming from President Trump and others, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Commerce, all very critical of what's happening in Europe. And so Europe just doesn't have the power that they once did. They've let their defense and security apparatus deteriorate, especially since the end of the Cold War. So, it's not that important. They don't have the global reach that they used to. That's clearly the United States is the global superpower right now.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it there. I'm sure a lot of European representatives would like to differ when you say that Europe doesn't have any power, because we know that, but about the trade deal and all kinds of arms and ammunition that is shared between NATO allies, including America and Europe. So we'll have to wait and watch how this moves forward, but I'll leave it there. Greg, thank you very much for joining us on Beyond.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.